Hi, teachers. I'm here to talk about a few alternatives to creating group type work in Google Classroom. So, unfortunately, currently Google Classroom doesn't have an option to create groups within the classroom. There are a couple of things that you can do in order to mimic these groups, and I'm going to show you those ways to do that. And I'm also going to share with you how you can leave feedback to Google that gets directly to Google that potentially requests this feature. The more and more people that leave this type of feedback, the more Google pays attention to those requests. So it does matter to take time to give feedback. So we're going to start with that. In Google Classroom, in the bottom left-hand corner, in fact, in any Google app, you will always find the question mark. So this is not just for help, it's also to report issue or request feature. So we're going to click to report an issue or request a feature. You don't need to include a screenshot with a request like this because there's not really something that you are reporting. You're asking for a feature, but you can if you need to report an issue. So I would simply want to add that there. I'm doing it myself now. And if we all do it and we get more people to do it, maybe Google will give that a consideration. So the second thing I want to share with you is how you mimic the group setting within your current Google Classroom. So if you go over to your classwork and you go to create classwork for an individual person, you would simply click on the assignment feature. And then over on the far right, after you give your assignment a title and whatever other information you want to add here, from the list of students, you would want to select manually every student that you want to receive this feedback. So my students are sorted by last name. So I may want a list handy so that I can quickly go through everyone by last name and check off all those names. Now, this is not ideal because unfortunately, you have to do it for every time you assign things. So you can't even duplicate an old assignment and pull over those students. I was hoping you would be able to. Unfortunately, that's not an option. So we're going to get rid of this. That is your first way to manually select the people that you want to see that specific post. Now, the second way that you can go about this, and this is actually, I've used both of these ways when I was a classroom teacher, is sometimes I would manually select the students, and then other times I actually had separate classrooms created. So you could create a classroom for each group of students that you want to assign things to. And that sounds overwhelming at first because you might be like, well, then I don't have time. What if posts go under multiple classrooms? Why? Like, then I have to manage all these classrooms. Yes, in the beginning, it does sound a little bit more overwhelming. However, when you create a post, if you create your post and you set it to all students, but then under the drop down, you select whichever classrooms you want to share it with, you can post the same thing to all of those classrooms at once. So doing this would then allow you to share with those groups, and those groups would be spread in their own classroom. So then you could just pick if you needed to share these tools with math and math science, or it needed to go to all of your math groups, then you could choose math overall or whatever other way that you want to share things with the groups. You could select every single one of your groups or classrooms to share the same post across all of them. So both of these options are ways to kind of get around that group feature in Google Classroom, while that is still not an option for organization.